Hey MMT followers, Christina Fuges with MoldMaking Technology and another quick MMT chat. Today my guests are Brian Bendig, Tim Galbraith, and Brenda Quint with Cavalier Tool and Manufacturing, who have been part of a project I pretty much directly related to fighting the virus. So I want to hand it over to them, but first, I do think that Cavalier is kind of known for the quality of larger, mid to large size molds, right, in recreational vehicles, trucks, commercial products. So I think it's interesting that not just Cavalier, but other mold shops too are taking on projects that they don't typically work on. So Brian, why don't you talk a little bit about how did this project, this hand sanitizer dispenser mold project come about?
Sure. So we've always been known to take on different different types. It's easy to talk automotive, but we've carved our niche in many different product lines. This particular one was kind of odd. We were recommended to the end user by 3 or 4 of our competitors. So it started up in Toronto, and that they had reached out to a tool shop in Toronto, and they said, "Hey, look, we don't have the speed. We can't do what you want. You should call this guy Cavalier." Come to find out that they had also called down to the city to another shop. And when I finally did meet with the gentleman via phone, he had confirmed that he was actually recommended, Cavalier had been recommended to him by several of our competitors, and that's how he made the contact. So it was kind of neat that other guys propped us up and said, go to Cavalier.
But don't you think that it doesn't even surprise me, because I feel that the mold manufacturing industry overall repeatedly comes together like that just to get it done. So yes. I just love those stories. So what was interesting too was I saw it all over social media, and Cavalier has really kicked it up on social media. So I don't know if that's Tim or Brian or Brenda who wants to talk a little bit about, I'm assuming that was intentional, and how do you see the value of social media, especially in times like this, to get out what you guys are working on?
I guess I'll take that one. Social media, we feel, is a pretty key part of defining our characterization of what people think of us and getting our message out, Christina. It's important to know that you're correct, we are a big tool shop. We do big tools, but we needed people to know that we're willing to pivot. We're willing to accommodate what's needed to fight the ongoing pandemic that the coronavirus has brought upon us.
Is that something dedicated? Who in the shop and the company is responsible for the social?
Well, we have an outside person we work with, but we all have a hand in it. We take some guidance from someone who has educated us on the best ways to use social media, I guess I should say, but we're all active on different platforms.
Well, you're doing a great job, and I'm hoping after all of this, I am actually seeing more mold builders get on the social media platform. So I'm hoping that's something that sticks after this is all said and done.
Yeah,
we'll see. Tim or Brian, I guess, can you explain? So let's go over a little bit about this project and how it differs or is similar to what you guys already do in terms of the lead times, the complexity, working with suppliers, because everything was pretty much due yesterday, right? Like everything's urgent. So how does that kind of play into what Cavalier typically does?
Well, I'll jump in here. We're very well suited for that type of project. We've got a lot of equipment and a lot of processes in-house that allow us to be very quick. So the last number of years, we've always been focused or aligned with speed to market, being able to do something faster than the guy next door. So with our levels of automation and different things, to us, to myself, it was a good fit. The molds themselves aren't overly complex. They're smaller than we traditionally do, but this isn't really judged on the complexity. It was all about the speed. So the feedback I got is we were roughly 2 weeks faster than the next closest quote to committed tryouts. So we're fortunate that we've got a lot of equipment. We've got guys on staff. We can run a 24/7. We very quickly, we got designs. I believe it was Friday morning, mid maybe afternoon. We worked all weekend long, Saturday, Sunday. By Monday, we had a design review. We had steel in the building Monday afternoon, and we were cutting that fast. So we've got a great relationship with our suppliers. We've got a great relationship with our employees. We were able to pull a quick army together and attack this thing very quickly. So I just feel as though we're well suited for the project.
So I did read somewhere that you fast-tracked some of your usual process steps. So I don't know who wants to take that, Tim or Brian. Like, what does that actually mean? Because I realize it's not typical, the speed and the urgency, right? When there are lives at stake or people need those supplies, you probably had to do things differently. And I would imagine the people in the company felt motivated by that also. But that struck me when it says fast tracking. So can you get over some of the things that you didn't do or shortened up or sped up?
Well, some of the things we changed, it wouldn't be common for a designer to work, a 10, 12-hour Saturday or 12, hour Sunday workday. We're fortunate that we've got a good rapport with the people, and we've got a great team. We had guys put their hands up. We had 2 designers say, I'll work all week long, whatever it takes. In turn, Monday morning, we called in a few favors. We reached out to some steel suppliers and said, hey, look, we need something quicker than we ever had. Here's our size. What have you got in stock? What works? How fast can I get on a saw? We did that with the metal, the plates, tooling. We're fortunate that we have a good relationship with a lot of our suppliers, and they were willing to help. We put our hand up and say, hey guys, we need some help, and everyone put their hand up and walked right with us. So
yeah. It was funny. I was doing a story with another tool shop, and it was all about the mold shop. And then 2 of the suppliers contacted me and said, hey, they couldn't have built that mold without our steel and without our whatever manifold system. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm completely forgetting that you can't build a mold without all the stuff. And so I reached out. It was funny to see that story kind of build upon itself, where just even the technology suppliers are coming together to help the mold builders and the molders get the products built. It's just, that's the uplifting part of all this chaos, quite frankly, right?
It's the right thing to do.
It's the
right thing to do, regardless of the cost, regardless of the pain and discomfort. It's what you get after the finish line is what everyone wants, and it's important, and I'm proud to be part of that.
Awesome.
If I can just add something to this, right off the bat, and Brian and I talked on Friday when the inquiry came in, we reached out at senior levels of management to our supply chain, the manifold people, the steel suppliers, and reached out to their executive management and said, hey, this is what we've got coming. Are you willing to be a partner and commit your people to the partnership? And with no exceptions, they all said yes. And that way, by the Saturday and Sunday, when Sunday was a 4-hour design review meeting in the afternoon with internally and with a bunch of people, we were ready to go Monday morning saying, okay, here's your order. What time tomorrow will you have it, or Wednesday or Thursday? They're committing to days turnaround on components that normally we wait weeks for.
Yeah, it's incredible. So what would you say was the number one, what was tested the most during this project?
Wow.
Or stretched, maybe not tested.
More focus. I think the word is focus. So, there's 3 tools. So, 6 blocks and all the plates and everything goes with it. Everyone knows that these tools are priority. So whatever's going on, that's the priority, are those medical tools. So if someone's loading the machine and they realize, hey, look, that's the medical tool. Other guys would jump in and help them load the machine. We're moving metal around throughout the building to different things. It was the focus. It's the priority. Everyone in the building knew that was of the highest level of importance at that time. But everyone wanted to do it. We had 0 pushback. Nobody didn't want to jump in. No one doesn't. In fact, I probably had 3 or 4 employees come up and say, I want to be part of this. What can I do? How can I jump in? Is there something else that I can touch or help or assemble? It's the team. They're just a great bunch of guys and girls. And we get it done. They want to be part of it.
So did you learn anything that you didn't know about your people or your process through this project? Anything surprise you?
No, I'd like to say I always knew they had it in them. I wasn't surprised. I think we're that kind of shop. We attract that type of people, and they're darn good guys and girls, and they wanted that.
Culture, right?
It's our culture. It's who we are. And
I don't think surprise is the right word, Christina. I think validate our expectations and what our team means to each other. I think it was validated during this time of crisis is a good way to phrase it.
I like that. That's better. So Brenda, was there anything different about how you manage the team under that type of pressure, we'll call it? Because there's an urgency and just the cause behind this, right? The mission.
Again, it's the team themselves that made themselves available. They were ready at the drop of a dime to do what they needed to do. So they were there for the meetings, they were on time, and they worked as hard as they could and as fast as they could to get this done.
Wonderful. So let's get to how the virus impact on actually Cavalier. So can you talk a little bit about, is you're still fully functional? How's it running? And what precautions did you put in place?
Well, we are saying business as usual, although it's not business as usual. We have as many people as possible working from home. We started that with design and CAM first, and that transition was pretty much seamless. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. From there, we posted daily communications to our staff, almost daily, to let them know what was going on. There was so many announcements from different levels of government that were out there. It was starting to spread a little bit of panic, causing some anxiety. So we wanted to let our employees know that we were listening to it and we were implementing what we could to help them and keep them safe. And we also listened to them. One of our toolmaking leader actually had suggested that the rest of us in the office perhaps should be working from home as well, the management team, so that it would reduce the number of people they were coming into contact with daily. Right. So we took that information and here we are. We are all working from home.
Yeah, so all get in it together, right?
Yeah, we've done what most shops are doing. We added some additional cleanings activities through the shop. We've eliminated the visitors to the shop. We've asked employees to self-quarantine if they travel outside of Canada. We implemented some documentation. So if we did have to have a visitor come in, they were screened first. They had to be approved before they could come into the building. Same with employees. And then last week we implemented a temperature check so that the employees that are still in the shop, they can feel safe that at least coming into the shop, their coworkers are, it gives them a little bit of, what's the right word?
Comfort.
Yeah, some comfort knowing that, we're trying to do as much as we can to help them and keep them safe.
That's important. Again, it goes back to culture. And if more or something different is going to be expected of them, like this project, you want that they need to feel safe and comfortable and that you're in it with them, right? You're not putting them at risk just to get this job, correct? So it is important. The temperature taking, I was curious, it varies dramatically with shops, whether they're going to go that far or not, but I don't know. I would rather do that and play it safe, right? And catch something before it becomes a problem.
Yeah, it's just precautionary. Pardon me?
Has anybody been upset by that in any way?
No, I think,
No,
again,
most people wanted it.
Helped them, it helped them to relax a little bit.
Let's talk about business. So can you talk a little bit about how the virus has impacted, I don't know whether it's your productivity, obviously supply chain issues, inventory, service you're getting. How has Cavalier been impacted?
I mean, it's crazy. It's not. So someone said, "Hey, look, I'd like to get back to normal." And my response was, the normal is no longer normal. There is no normal. It's up to us to create the new normal. Everything that was commonplace seems to be flipped upside down right now. At the same time, are we pushing forward? Are we doing the right things? Of course we are. But like you said, I mean, supplies aren't coming in like they should. People aren't in the building. Shifts have been changed. People programming from home. I mean, normally we throw programs, just throw them on the server. Guys would pull them down. That whole process has changed. We've got one guy that's managing this data as a single point. Even you went from 25 machinists down to 10 as an example. What do you do? Things change. How you get blocks in front of the machines are different. How we set things up. There's more of a team effort that goes into things because it's got to be quicker, faster. So if a machine's running, we'll send guys to the other end of the bay and they're setting up, 2-3 guys on one machine. So it really is the Cavalier Army, and you see that rather than just run one machine, you may be asked to run 5 as an example. The assembly area is really spread out. Nobody is beside anyone. So before, if you had a typical large mold, you might have 2 or 3 people on that mold. Right now, there's only one. We do not have people on top of other people, as they say. Everyone is spread out. There's a couple meters between everyone. So it's just different. Everything that was normal isn't normal.
Does that slow it down?
In some instances, yes. The big molds where there's a lot of assembly and fitting, definitely, because we could attack it. We'd throw more people on it. I mean, we still have shifts that we can go around the clock, but you just don't have the manpower as you might. Now, we don't have 30 of those in the building at this time, so it's not the end of the world. But it does slow you down a little bit. You have more focus.
Like, are you hitting your deliveries? Are you hitting your deliveries?
We have.
Okay?
Yes.
I mean, in the end,
so we did drop. Yeah, we dropped people, but we also had some stuff go on hold. So it was a little bit of a shift. I mean, we had, say 50 people working on 50 molds, but now we have 20 people working on 20 molds. So the volume's still there because we did have some stuff go on hold. We suspect in a week or two it'll come back, but for right now, we've shifted into other stuff and certainly made the medical the priority.
Exactly. So what are you hearing from your customers?
Well, that's a really good
Tim?
question. We're hearing different things from different customers, and Christina, it goes across the board from we will work with you in whatever we need to do to satisfy everybody's needs to I don't care, I want my tools on time, and what can you do for me in compression timing? And believe it or not, there are still people out there that are not don't seem to be aware of what's going on. We've been very,
Wow.
very fortunate, as Brian said, in that a number of people have had to close, of our customer base have had to close through mandates. That's alleviated some deadlines for us and cleared the tracks for some other things to move forward. Um, they're cautiously optimistic. I can tell you that we had our best month in sales yet ever in March, and that not do anything to do with the coronavirus or medical. It's things we've been working on for a while. So I think we're going to see business continue. Our customers are still maintaining a long range view that business will get back to normal, and sometime towards the middle or end of the year, we're expecting to be back in production. So they're going to need the molds that they're looking for.
Yeah. Is there, when you say get back to normal, are there things you think that you're learning that it's not going to go back to, you're not going to do it the old way? You learn something that moving forward, this tested us. You know what? Why do we do it that way? We're doing it this way from now on.
Data transfer.
Oh, there you go.
In
We
meetings,
got
I can
lots of
tell you,
changes in how we manage data. That will never be the way it was.
net meetings
Wow.
are going to be a big thing in the future. I think we've all
Yeah.
been a little shy on them in the past. We all do them, but now it's an everyday occurrence. I spend probably 75% of my day is doing exactly what we're doing here. And it's a very efficient way of communicating in times of crisis, and maybe that'll spill over into the times of good as well.
So do you think you communicate more now because of like the split team, or just
Uh,
communicating
I
differently?
think so.
More?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah. And you can't ever over communicate. So I think that is a positive, even in my company too. And I've always worked remotely, but the amount of communication is dramatically changed. But I like it. I'm brought into things that I wasn't before. So I'm hoping I'm helping in situations that I wasn't able to be part of before. So I would imagine that's a positive. So are you working on any other COVID related projects right now? Was that a one and done, or are there more?
No, I'll be honest. There's more than we can handle, and
Oh,
they're in a lot of planning stages. I was on the phone actually until 9:30 last night talking to companies who are anxious to try to do their part as well.
okay.
Again, through our use of social media, our names got out there as someone who's willing to step up and help. So we're fielding calls all day. We're vetting our opportunities, and I say opportunities because it's really not our wheelhouse, but we're there to do what we can do. But yeah, there's
Exactly.
definitely more in the pipeline. Anecdotally, I'll tell you that the local tryout shop yesterday, just to let you know we're not the only ones, is obviously down in business, but they were predicting, they said that for the next couple of weeks, all the small presses are booked solid with tool shops that have jumped on and are helping with the COVID battle. And a lot of small medical tools will be trying out in record time at the tryout shops next week. So we're not the only ones doing it, but we're happy to help where we can. There's lots of projects out there.
That's awesome. So if you hear of anybody like Gardner, we launched a sourcing assistance program because people were reaching out to us because they either wanted to help or there were companies that were looking for tooling people, tooling vendors or molding facilities. So if you go to MoldMaking Technology, oh no, it's AmeriMoldExpo.com. You can fill out a link, you fill out a form. So pass that along. Like it's a way that we can connect people then. So we're matching up the buyers and the sellers basically, because I can't believe that's something that's been new for us that we hope it's our way of helping. If people don't know what to do, right? How to contact people, and we want to help, well, let's match them up. So spread that around. We've been doing that on social media ourselves. I think before we wrap up, I have a couple questions that are more about, further down the line. So I don't know how you guys feel about reshoring, but that's a big discussion about all this now because of what has happened, where the virus came from, all the tools and even components and manifold systems, a lot of the stuff you guys use are sourced overseas. Even companies are in the US, but they might get their products from overseas. Do you think there's going to be a real forced movement for people to buy locally?
You want to take that, Brian? Or
Go ahead, Tim. I mean, I think we have the same thoughts.
Yeah, as a background, nobody, and I'd be surprised if anybody, had in the disaster recovery plan a global pandemic. So this has really thrown a monkey wrench into everybody's operations. And you're correct, the supply chain partners are probably the worst hit because they relied heavily on the offshore markets. Absolutely, I think it'll change, and absolutely there will be. I think essential services will be redefined rather than just tanks and guns and airplanes and stuff. It'll now include medical because we've had a taste of what it's like to be in a situation that we're in now. So yeah, it'll change. Hopefully, it'll change for the better. I think we have to get over the appetite for low prices. That will be the biggest hurdle to overcome. And once people can understand that security is as important or more important sometimes than low prices, I think that'll help in the reshoring efforts. So is there opportunity for that? Absolutely. I just hope that we don't get industrial amnesia 6 months from now and go back to the way we used to be.
Exactly. But sometimes that's human nature, right? Sad to say.
It absolutely is.
Short-term memories. Anybody else? A perspective on that?
Well, I personally think that there will be more activity that way because the prices will be dropped and people will want to maximize their profits by getting lower costs, right? While we're going through this, they're recovering, so they're able to work now and produce. So when we get back to what we call is our normal, they can be delivering product to us. So I think there will be a number of companies or a lot of business strategies that go that way.
What do you think, from the three of you, what is your number one concern about the coronavirus right now?
When will it end?
Okay, yeah.
Like, what are we? Yeah, is it 3 weeks? Are we 3 months? How far away are we on with this? For me, I'm a guy that travels a lot for the business, and I've been grounded. I haven't really done significant traveling yet this year. Tuesday of this week, I was on my way to India to go see the facility over there. So it's a little bit different, and then
how is it over
complete
there?
lockdown, 100% lockdown. Everyone is mandated to stay within their homes. I think they had a 15 or 17-day lockdown. It's to end next Wednesday, and actually I was getting some calls from India while I'm on the phone with you. So I'll probably find out here in a half an hour or so.
Yeah, interesting. Because I haven't been hearing a lot about India and what's going on over there.
The north is in a lot of trouble. The south is much better. There's tight groups of people. I mean, the groups are quite tight. I think 20 times more than some of the thickest parts of New York City, as far as population, dense population. Yeah, so it's a big concern over there. And it's custom that people would shop daily. People want to be on the street daily. It's kind of how their culture works. So for them, the problem today is that they've been in lockdown for such a long period of time. They don't have the essentials, food and water. In some of the poor areas, there's one public washroom for 1,400 people is the number I saw. People are on the street. They're going out to get water. They're going out to get food. They can't stay at home. They either stay at home and starve to death, or they hit the street and find some food. So they're finding that a lot of people are now walking home because they shut down trains and buses. And we're talking 200, 300 kilometers, a 5-day walk to their hometowns. And they've got hundreds of thousands of people doing it right now.
Wow, that puts it in perspective into how good we have it compared to other countries.
Oh, buddy.
Well, that's crazy. Is that in any way impacting? I know you have your Cavalier India, right, on the design side. So
Absolutely.
How is that?
Well, it's a big, I mean, it hurts us. It's 30% of our design team is not there. So especially when we want to turn around things quite quickly. I mean, they do manage some data for us. They help us with our estimating. They help in engineering changes, different things. So it's like not having, a group of 10 people in your building. They're just not there. So it's definitely painful.
So let's end on a positive note. So tell me something good outside of, well, actually there is a lot of good, because just you're seeing your culture, everything that you've worked for, like Tim said, be validated, everybody coming together for something so important. And nothing would be happening if it wasn't for manufacturers coming together. Do you have any tips for other shops? Something that you guys have learned to help other shops that are struggling through this?
I'll jump in on that one.
Okay.
Oh, we all do
Go
at the
ahead,
same
Tim.
time. Be friends with your neighbors. I have been part of a number of task forces over the last couple of weeks where people that I don't normally, or we don't normally have any interface with, are there, and we're sharing ideas. 6:30 this morning, I'm online with the group every day, and we're sharing ideas and resources and how-tos and brainstorming. There's a lot of resources out there, and we need to collaborate a little bit more. And I think, if anything, this has put us together in partnerships that'll endure through the coronavirus issues into the good times as well, and will make us stronger when we come out of it.
I love it. Brenda?
I was going to say, kind of for management purposes, staying strong and being calm for your employees, so they can see, you know what you're doing, and you're putting your best foot forward, and trying to stay strong for them, so they can feel a little bit relaxed.
Good one. Brian, I'll give you the last word.
So I attended a seminar a few years ago, and it was George Bush that was up there speaking, and it was all about leaders and entrepreneurs and business owners and managers. And at the end of his fireside chat, it was called, they'd asked, what would you give to somebody, or what would you tell to these people in the room? And he thought about it for a second. He said, I've run armies, I've run countries, I've run states. He says, nobody wants to follow somebody that doesn't know where they're going. When you provide leadership and direction, people are more likely to help you get there. So to echo what Brenda said, it's the communication, the education. So, last year was the year of, we talked this year, the year of people. It was the year of process last year. So one of our things we came up this year was no excuses. Well, we made that as our mantra for the 2020 year, and look what happened, this virus. And we all said to ourselves, there's no excuses. And everyone said, but, sorry guys, you can't have an excuse. Any medical molds we're producing, there's no excuses. So our job as managers, and what would I tell you? Provide the leadership, provide the direction. Somebody could be looking busy and they're sweating and they're really moving fast, but are they producing or doing what you want them to do? So I think it's important in times like this to really tell people where you're going, why you want to get there, and what's expected of them to help you get there.
I love it. Well, that's about it. I want to thank you, Brian, Tim, and Brenda, for sharing your story. It's another inspiring one, that's really showing mold manufacturing come together just to get it done. So again, thank you. And for everything mold making, everybody out there, visit moldmakingtechnology.com. Stay healthy and stay safe.